All right, guys, in today's video, we're going to be covering and talking about the best offensive teams here for Cosmic Crucible. It's been a little while since we've done a video like this here, so I feel like it was a good time for us to circle back and highlight one of the best teams, some of which are going to be some cookie cutter options, but then also as well some that are a little bit hybrid to take on some of those bigger rooms that you're facing as well. So let's actually dive right into it, guys. The first team on the list here is going to be Masters of Evil. Surprise, surprise, the Cosmic Crucible team themselves. This team right now is being used in room 6 to beat your Wakandan matchups. They also as well can be used against Unlimited, but right now, because Wakanda is a little bit of a tough challenging matchup, and because of the reduced stats that Cosmic Crucible has given to the Darkhold team, a lot of people are now using Masters of Evil against room 6. Now, Darkhold still is a team that can be used to beat the Wakanda and the War Dogs team, but if you're looking for efficiency and you're going more offensive with your matchups, then using Masters of Evil against Wakandans in room 6 is probably going to be your best bet. But yes, this team can beat many other teams. The only team that I think that they cannot beat right now at Cosmic Crucible is really the Tangled Eternals counter. Like, that's pretty much basically it. But for the most part, everything else, this team, it can be there are probably some hybrid teams that are out there too, but for the most part, your Masters of Evil very strong. Like I said, can still be used against Unlimited, so they definitely come in as being one of the top offensive teams here on this list. All right, and coming in at number 2 here that we're going to be talking about is the Unlimited X-Men team. Yes, this team is still a top offensive team here. Whether you're putting them on offense or on defense, they're definitely a formidable team. Now, primarily where a lot of players are using Unlimited, if they do use them on offense, mostly I'm seeing players use it against Darkhold on defense or Darkhold Apocalypse teams, or they may mirror match certain teams there. But really, ultimately, Unlimited can be used offensively to kind of be your secret weapon if you're running into some challenges here. Maybe somebody throws something on hybrid that's a little bit hard for you to beat, then you can use this Unlimited X-Men team. They were built for this. Unfortunately, they're not really useful in a lot of other different areas of the game other than, of course, your Saga. And of course, they can be pretty stout on war defense as well, depending on how big you've built up these teams here. But in terms of Cosmic Crucible themselves, they definitely are one of the top tier teams because this is a game that they were created for. And they do quite well there, like I said, both on offense or on defense. Even on defense, it can still be very tricky if you bring in the wrong counter to use against them. So for me personally, this team definitely shows up on this list as being one of the better teams in Cosmic Crucible. All right, and the next team I want to talk about here is the Undying team with Tangled Web, and of course throwing in Emma here. This team is primarily right now being used against the Eternals Tangled Web counter that we see on defense. I know it's not a sexy option because players want to be able to probably use their Tangled Web and throw them on defense so that you can make it a tougher time for your opponent. But once again, this is an offensive list and we're talking about the best offensive teams. So if you really only care about offense, and that's what this video is for here, this Undying team against that Tangled Eternals team, Tangled Web Eternals team is very good. Of course, the idea here is that you're gaining a speed advantage by having Emma, of course, against their Tangled Web. And of course, you're using Spider Weaver to then stun their Spider Weaver, and then you're using the ability block. You're trying to spread it around to the rest of the team. You're ultimately working your way down, making sure that you're taking care of Spider Weaver first with Spider Weaver to make sure that she doesn't revive. So this is essentially one of the main teams right now that I know is being used against that Tangled Eternals counter. Now, there are other counters that are out there that can be used against it, but once again, being that this is an offensive list, I am talking about the strongest offensive teams that you can use against these different sort of counters, and that's the reason why this team is on this list. It's something that I use on a consistent basis. You can see videos of me actually using this comp in multiple matchups here in my Cosmic Crucible playlist on the channel. So take a look at those if you want to know how to use this counter against the Tangled Web Eternals counter here on defense. All right, the next team on this list here is going to be this hybrid team with the new Warriors, Doom, and then Red Guardian. I'm seeing this comp right now being used a lot against Gamma teams on defense. But the idea here, as you can probably guess, is you got Red Guardian grouped in or slotted in right next to Doom here on the very end. And then of course, once Red Hole goes, your hope is that it will proc and put Doom into the yellow so that he can then proc and do his ultimate. Something that doesn't really work out though until you get to turn 2, which is fine because Usually with the other new warriors, because they've gotten this rework, they're a little bit faster, they're going to do a little bit more damage, things like that. So you're able to kind of get a good, decent amount of crowd control in the very beginning. You can throw out a lot of debuffs here with Cloak whenever he does his ult, and then you could also use Dagger to clear some effects. So things like that, like it really works really well. And then of course, once Doom procs, then most likely you're going to be calling your death pool to do follow-up attacks 3 turns or three turns in a row here. That can help to mow down that Red Hulk for you whenever Doom finally does proc and does his ultimate. So this team works very well right now against the Gamma team. There are other comps that you can use too. One that I use often is using Star-Lord, putting him right next to Doom, throwing in Omega Red, throwing in Red Guardian towards the very end, and then throwing in Captain America for me. And then of course, whenever Red Hulk takes his first turn, he's hitting Red Guardian, he's hitting Cap, and then usually Star-Lord does his ability, does his special, gives the ability energy over to Doom. I'm then able to kind of go off and do my thing there, and then Omega Red will then follow up to kind of clean up the rest of the team area with Gamma. But sometimes that doesn't go as well and not as reliable as this matchup here. So I like this one a little bit better going up against that Gamma team. So this is one that I would recommend that you use as well. All right, guys, this next kind I want to talk about here is another hybrid team with the Eternals, Nick Fury, Kestrel, and of course APOC here. This is a counter that's being used right now against the Unlimited X-Men team on defense, and I find that this is the most reliable counter that is out there. There's some other ones like Secret Avengers with Sam, Dorm, Kestrel. Like I've seen that work, but it can get a little dicey. Like if the wrong character gets ability blocked, then like the matchup goes awry. Totally here. But with this comp, what makes it reliable is that of course you have APOC on spawns and to remove the safeguard from the enemy team. So of course, whenever Icarus goes, he's able to flip those positive effects that are on them, most important one is turning defense up into defense down, which then means that Kestrel is able to take advantage of that. Your hope is that you're going to be able to delete Gambit by doing the ult, and so that he won't revive when you do Kestrel's ult. Even if that doesn't work, you're usually still okay to get through the rest of the matchup here. There is one instance, and I've shown it on my channel, where I kind of screwed up a matchup here because my Kestrel actually got slowed and she did not go before Cersei, which is ideally what you want here. If that happens, you just need to make sure that you try to ability block Dazzler so that she doesn't flip, so clear those positive effects and then flip them back. You just want to make sure that you kind of target down and ability block Dazzler there, and then you can work your way back around to the rest of the team. That's the one RNG component to it that has happened to me once before, and then somebody taught me, hey, this is what you do to be able to get past that. So that's what I would ultimately do there. But like I said, this is the most reliable counter that I've seen so far against the Unlimited X-Men team in terms of the hybrid team. So this is something that I would definitely recommend to you as well. All right, and the last thing I'm going to talk about here is the Darkhold team. Now, yes, Darkhold is not as formidable because they've reduced their stats here by 10%, but let's keep it real. They're still one of the strongest teams in Marvel Strike Force. They hold a lot of value here. They do very well against most matchups in Cosmic Crucible as well. They still even can be used, even with reduction in stats, they can still be used to beat that Wakandan team in Room 6. Once again, though, if you're going for efficiency, then it's going to be better to use that Masters of Evil team. But in terms of just them being able to actually do it, yes, they definitely can. Just got to be a little bit more careful to be able to in doing that matchup. But this is still a strong team here that can be used to counter a lot of teams on defense, not just one particular team on defense here. If you throw in APOC, you can then use this team to mirror match reliably a Darkhold team that you do see on defense. There's a ton of good things that you can do here with this Darkhold team. So for that reason, I still gotta throw them on this list, right? Because if you're gonna ask me picking the top 6 Cosmic Crucible teams, how is Darkhold not on that list, right? They're definitely still one of the most powerful teams in Marvel Strike Force, period. But then, of course, also if you're looking at it from the perspective of Cosmic Crucible, they definitely hold their value there as well. There's a ton of other teams that we could talk about that I didn't put on this list because I wanted to make a top 6 list as opposed to it being like a top 7 or 8. There's a bunch of other teams that we could talk about here. If you want me to mention them as honorable mentions here, we have Infinity Watch. Infinity Watch is pretty good against your Dead Sea teams here. Also some other comps in the game too. There's Dead Sea with APOC. that definitely poses a problem. All of that may be more for defense. We'll make a defensive list sometime later on this week too. And Gamma, right? If you want to use your Gamma team on offense, there's an option to do that as well. But listen, that is going to be it for me here today. Hopefully you found some good value. If you have questions about anything, holla at me. Let me know. I'm happy to help here in any sort of which way I possibly can. But I appreciate you guys watching the video. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the notification bell so that you know when the videos do go live. Check out our links. They're down below. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. Well, not Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Discord there. Check out Discord link. Also, Patreon, guys. Just revamped and changed some things on Patreon. That's another way for you to support the channel for just $1 a month here as well, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. Until next time, guys. Y'all be blessed. Y'all be safe. Bye.